Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Lakers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Magic Johnson pleads for former NBA MVP to join Lakers this offseason. The Los Angeles Lakers have and always will be a franchise driven by superstars, and one of the best to don the purple and gold has already started laying the groundwork to try and get another future Hall of Famer to consider joining the franchise. Lakers legend Magic Johnson is no longer part of the franchise's front office after a brief stint calling the shots alongside Rob Pelinka. That isn't stopping him from encouraging some of the best in the game today to follow in his footsteps and bring another Larry O'Brien trophy to Southern California. While the likelihood of this scenario playing out seems rather slim, the Lakers legend used the league's announcement of the annual Magic Johnson Award winner to plead with Phoenix Suns star Kevin Durant to finish out his storied career in Los Angeles. Johnson is a part owner of the NFL's Washington Commanders, the franchise Durant has been a fan of for quite some time, so there is a relationship between the two. Using Magic's tweet as evidence, it doesn't seem like Johnson believes that his attempt to sway Durant will be successful. Durant's decision to join the Phoenix Suns has not gone to plan. The franchise is heading in the wrong direction and missed the postseason this past year. The former MVP may not be long for the Valley of the Sun, but seeing him move from Phoenix to Los Angeles would be an absolute coup for the purple and gold. There are plenty of hurdles that would need to be cleared and questions to be answered before the Lakers could even consider pursuing Durant. For as great of a scorer as he is, Durant is quickly approaching his late 30s and quite frankly doesn't have the type of physical build as LeBron James, making him more prone to injuries as he ages. Regardless of those facts, Magic Johnson is trying his best to use his sway to convince Durant to at least consider the possibility. Now, let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
Lakers trade update. Want to get into some of the latest around the team, kind of what the buzz is coming out of the Chicago pre-draft combine. Quick note, I will be live at 2 p.m. Pacific time today for our Lakers live show kicking off the weekend. It is Fun Friday, and we're going to be talking a lot of Lakers trades, so hope to see you there. But let's dive into this. Again, going to be a busy summer for the Lakers. Make sure that you do subscribe right here to the LakersNation.com YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications as well. All right, so the Lakers review over on X did a great job just kind of summarizing all the stuff that's been out there from Dan Woike of the LA Times recently, who's done a phenomenal job recently from the Chicago pre-draft combine, just breaking down all that's out there about the Los Angeles Lakers. So wanted to use this to dive into a number of different topics. First and foremost, the belief that Austin Reeves won't be traded, that the Lakers see him as an all-star and would want an all-star type return for him. Now, this has been, that's nothing new. This is the Lakers' thought process around Austin Reeves and has been for years. We think back to DeJounte Murray when the Lakers were in conversations with the Atlanta Hawks. It was a bit of a bait and switch from the Hawks. It was going to be D'Angelo Russell in a deal for DeJounte Murray. The Hawks at the last minute said, oh, no, wait, never mind. We want Austin Reeves. And the Lakers said, no, you're not getting him. That's it. And hindsight being 2020, it looked like it was the correct decision. But the Lakers have held Austin as a guy who, if you're going to trade him, they want another foundational piece in return. And some people will disagree with that and will say that that's not the way that they should be perceiving Austin Reeves. He put up phenomenal numbers this past season, had a great season, did not play well in the playoffs. There's no getting around that. He was not good in the playoffs, but the Lakers still hold Austin in this very high regard and will not move him unless they're getting a foundational piece, an all-star level player back. And what's the likelihood that you're going to get that? Particularly, we know the Lakers need a center. Are you going to get an all-star caliber center for Austin Reeves? Are you getting a Bam Adebayo? Are you getting a Jaren Jackson Jr.? No, probably not. And when we talk about that, we talk about, well, could you get Jaren Jackson for Austin Reeves? The conversation is not, is that a fair deal for the Grizzlies? The conversation is, that's the kind of bar the Lakers are setting for Austin Reeves. Now, again, we could argue that that's not the correct bar that they should be setting, that maybe they should be willing to trade Austin Reeves for pieces that simply fit better alongside Luka Doncic. There's certainly some questions about Austin's defense. It's also been put out there by Dan Woike that the Lakers and Austin Reeves believe that he is going to take what happened in the playoffs this year personally, that he is going to spend the summer improving, and that we're going to see an even better version of Austin Reeves this next season. Again, players are not static. I talked about this the other day. They do grow, they do improve, and the Lakers continue to have a lot of belief and a lot of faith in Austin Reeves. So they're not going to move him just to fill a gap. In other words, to me, that screams, you're not trading Austin Reeves for Daniel Gafford. They're not doing it. They will not do it, even though they need a center. They will only move Austin Reeves in a deal where they get a foundational piece. Now, the one caution I would have with this, and this makes me even a little bit nervous here, Austin is due for an extension this summer. 4 years, $90 million is the most the Lakers can offer, just under $90 million. If he doesn't take that extension, it's the same situation as Luka, or at least a very similar one in terms of he has the ability to be a free agent in 2026. Now, the key, and this is important, difference between Austin's situation and Luka's situation is that Luka would still be getting a huge deal, like very close to what he could get otherwise, even if he waited another year. He could still get a massive contract. Austin could probably expect to get significantly more money if he just waited until he hit free agency to sign his next deal, whether that's with the Lakers or somebody else. So that is a key difference here where Austin can legitimately say, well, I'm not going to sign the extension because I think I'm worth more. I'm going to get more next summer, and that's what I'm going for. And the Lakers are limited in what they can offer him. That the just under $90 million is the most they can offer. Whereas with Luka, if Luka turns down the extension, it's, huge red flag. You have to immediately look at potentially trading him because that would be an indication that he's probably not going to stay with the Lakers. Now, again, not what we would expect to happen, though. The belief is Luka, as of August 2nd, which is the earliest he can sign his extension, he will. The belief is also that Austin will not sign his extension with the Lakers. So even though Austin could say, I want to stay with the team next summer, I'm just going to get more money. I was on a bargain deal for a few years. I want to cash in next year. Those are all reasonable things. But for the Lakers, the bottom line is he would be a free agent. He would still have the ability to leave the Lakers and leave them with nothing in return. And for me, that's dangerous. That is a dangerous situation to be in. It's one I'm not super comfortable with any player if I'm an NBA team, because it's one of the most damaging things that can happen is have a player walk away that you want to keep, have a player walk away in free agency. So that should give the Lakers a little bit of concern, at least enough motivation to at least explore the trade market with Austin Reeves. But as Dan Wojcicki correctly notes, the Lakers, they're not going to trade him unless they're getting a true foundational or all-star type piece in return. Two names that come up most in trade scenarios, Daniel Gafford and Nick Claxton. You can also guarantee then that the Lakers will not trade Austin Reeves for either one of those players. But those are two names that come up frequently. Everyone knows the Lakers need a center. There's not a whole lot out there in free agency for them to target. And the most likely, unless we see something different than what we're expecting happen in terms of either LeBron taking a pay cut, Dorian Finney-Smith not signing a new deal, not picking up his player option and walking away. If one of those two things happen, then maybe the Lakers could have a full mid-level exception of about $14.1 million to spend. But assuming that both of those things don't go that way, that Finney-Smith either picks up his option or signs a new deal and LeBron does not take a significant pay cut, the Lakers will have the $5.1 million taxpayer mid-level exception to play with. And again, there's not a whole lot out there in free agency. So most likely, if the Lakers are going to land their center that they need, it's going to happen on the trade market. Now, could they land a backup with that taxpayer mid-level? Sure, they could certainly do that. I'd be surprised if you find a true starting center with that taxpayer mid-level, with the exception of perhaps Clint Capella, who could be an intriguing stopgap option, as Dan Wojcicki notes here. He would be kind of a bridge center. He would be somebody that you bring in for now. He lost his starting job with Atlanta last year. We know that he's on the downward swing in his career, and yet he's still just 30 years old. So it's not like he is completely over the hill, but he's also not what he once was when we look at what he produced. Now, he made over $20 million last year with the Atlanta Hawks. He's not getting that again this year. So Clint Capella could be a legitimate option as a guy you bring in for $5.1 million, especially if you have a starting job to offer. You look at what happened with him with the Hawks last year, and you can see he only started, used to be every game. It's right, played 73 games season before last, started all of them. Played 55 games, started 41 of them. And Onyeka Okongwu took over the starting job with Clint Capella, and the belief is that the Hawks will move on from him. You can see, though, the numbers, they started dropping in a big way. The rebounding, down. The shots blocked, down. Everything's starting to fall off a little bit for Clint Capella. So he's a guy that you could bring in. Let's say the Lakers can't find a good trade for a year. They can't find a good center that they want to add on the trade market, that they want to be their long-term fit with Luka. Clint Capella, or a guy like him, could be an option just to kick the can down the road. Hey, he could play the center position for us for this season, And then we'll see what's what next year. And we'll continue the hunt for the long-term fit if the long-term fit is not readily available right now. So I actually think that's very, very important that a guy like Capella is out there on the market to be that stopgap in case you can't find the long-term fit at the center position. Again, he would not be a long-term addition, but is he somebody that could get you through this year? Potentially. I think that he could. And if you are a free agent center, I still think the Lakers are the most attractive landing spot on the market because there is a clear path to minutes. There's a clear path to a starting job, and most teams simply cannot offer that. Most teams that Clint Capella talks to would be offering him a backup job. The ideal world would be the Lakers trade for a center, a starter, and sign Clint Capella with the taxpayer mid-level, but then he's signing up for a backup job. Whereas if the Lakers could give him their starting center job, they probably get him with that taxpayer mid-level. There's a pretty good shot that they would be able to get him if they can give him a starting job because he could look at guys in the past like Dennis Schroeder, like Malik Monk, who took 1 year with the Lakers at a diminished salary and then used that to turn it into a bigger contract the next summer. So I do think Clint Capella is a very real option as a stopgap, particularly if the Lakers do continue to have a starting job available. So I do like that as an option for them, potentially just as a safety net of sorts out there on the free agent market. And then lastly, Walker Kessler, not available. You know, the Lakers, I think their opportunity to get Walker Kessler, it was last summer, and now the Utah Jazz are not looking to move on from him. He'd be a great get, but is anybody really truly unavailable? No. I mean, like if the Lakers offered up Austin Reeves for Walker Kessler, does that get a deal done? Right? If the Lakers started giving up stuff they don't want to give up, but is he realistically available? Probably not. And so I think we can kind of scratch that name off the list, though there's still a number of other targets. Nick Claxton and Daniel Gafford may be the two primary ones, but you know there's other guys that the Lakers are going to be looking at. Free agents, we can talk about guys like Steven Adams. Of course, when we look at the trade front, there'll be other players that they'll be targeting as well. We look at say, a player like, what about a Mitchell Robinson with the Knicks? Is that a name they could be interested in? Jakob Poeltl, if he doesn't come to terms on an extension with the Toronto Raptors. Not necessarily saying all these guys are great fits. Nikola Vucevic is another guy who's certainly going to be available out there. So there's going to be a number of bigs available on the market. It's going to be on Rob Pelinka and the Lakers to parse through everything and figure out what the best deal really is, both evaluating the fit and the cost of the player. But very clearly, the Lakers know, and from Dan Wojcicki's reporting, everyone in Chicago at the pre-draft combine knows exactly what the Lakers need to do, and that's find a big this offseason. Lakers Nation, again, I'll be live in just a bit for a little bit of fun Friday, so I hope you come join me there. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Pacific time. But give me your thoughts on this situation, the Lakers trade front, their decision-making with Austin Reeves, where they're at currently at the
Los Angeles Lakers should look to the Charlotte Hornets to help kind of round out their perimeter depth, right? One of the things that the Lakers need, obviously, is the center spot, right? Well, Charlotte has a center that the Lakers are familiar with, right? And two, they have multiple kind of perimeter 3-and-D wings and guards, that kind of stuff. A lot of the things that the Lakers need, right? Now, obviously, there's a question of like, would Charlotte do business with the Lakers again, given the way that things ended and with the Mark Williams trade? And I think so, right? Like, I don't think anyone's going to really care, right? It's the NBA, do business, right? If Hornets feel like they're getting a good deal, they're going to do a good deal, right? Like, you see stuff happen all the time in the league and they end up doing stuff. Like, people are always like, oh, this team will never do business with this team. And then they end up doing deals. Like, people said, the Brooklyn Nets will never trade Mikal Bridges to the Knicks. And now Mikal Bridges is a Knick, right? Like, teams don't care if they feel like they're winning a trade or they're getting what they want out of the deal. Teams will do it, right? It's business. There's no bad blood, right? Lakers did what they thought they needed to do. Charlotte, were they happy about it? No. But if Charlotte feels like they can fleece and get the guys that they want, then fine, right? So I look at Charlotte as a destination that makes sense for the Lakers, that I do think that they should re-engage with. You at least pick up a phone call. Worst case scenario, you get cussed out and, hung up on. Then you get cussed out and hung up on. But that doesn't mean you don't try. It doesn't mean you don't do your due diligence and actually make the phone call, try to work with the Charlotte Hornets. But right off the bat, immediately Mark Williams is the guy that comes to mind, right? Mark Williams makes some sense, is a guy that, would be great at the center position for the Lakers. Now, obviously, the health concerns are concerns, right? I trust that the Lakers, medical team was like, hey, this is an issue. I trust that that's the case. And, if that got corrected, right, give him a new physical. It's very possible that he passes the physical this time, right? He was coming off of injury and all that stuff. Right now, he's had, the rest of the season, and now he's going to have a bit of the off season going into, obviously the official off season where you can sign free agents and make trades and all that stuff, right? Maybe he's healed up. Maybe he's better. Maybe those signs aren't there like they were back then, right? Give it a couple months and see where you're at. So I still don't hate the idea of going and trying to acquire a Mark Williams trade. That would be fantastic. But even if you can't get Mark Williams, right, if they're like, hey, we're not trading Mark Williams to you now, or let's say Mark Williams is like, I don't want to go to the Lakers anymore because, what they did to me type thing, then fine, right? Charlotte still has several pieces that make a ton of sense. And they got the 4th pick in the draft, and they're probably going to draft a perimeter guy again. So again, they already have an abundance of those guys. They're going to only add more to those guys. So now, yes, maybe they draft like a center or something like that, but they got the 4th pick in the draft. So I don't really see them. Are they really going to draft, Malik or something like that? Probably not, right? They're probably going to go and get one of these perimeter guys. Ace Bailey, I think, is projected to fall to them, right? So I can see where they get something like that, or EJ. Point is, they're probably getting another perimeter guy, right? So if you're the Lakers, it's like, hey, you're adding another perimeter guy to that mix. Let's try to work out a deal, get you some expirings, let's work something out here, right? Because Miles Bridges, I would love to have. Right? I mean, you're talking about a 6'8", sizable, versatile forward that can play the 3, play the 4, defend 1 through 5, and also knock down the 3 ball and can get you 20 a night, right? I mean, he's a guy who go get you 40 a night, right? Seen him do it. He had a stretch where he was averaging 30 or 40, right? For a couple weeks or whatever it was. I don't think it was last season. I think it was the year before. But Miles Bridges makes a ton of sense for a Lakers team, right? Can you get multiple pieces? Can you get a Bridges and a Mark Williams, right? Now you solved your starting 3-and-D wing, and you also got your, versatile center, your kind of skilled big, right? That would be something great. Beyond that though, you have Trey Mann, right? He is a ideal kind of 2-way 3-and-D style guard. He's basically what we want to Gabe Vincent to be, but with a little more size, guy that can, handle himself a little better. Defensively is just solid. He's 6'3", 6'4". I could slot him, play the point, play the 2, play off of Luka, which are the kind of guys that you need. He's still very young. He's 24, right? So he's a guy that has the youth to where you can kind of continue to develop him, continue to work with him, but he can make an immediate impact. I mean, he's a guy you could slot right next to Luka and just kind of be that point of attack. One of the things that I've talked about with the Lakers is I'd love to see them get a, Jalen Suggs, or, can you go get, a Dyson Daniels or something like that. Get a guy that can slot alongside Luka and be that point of attack, 3-and-D guard, wing, whatever, right? Play either guard spot, defend the best point guard on the other team, defend the best guard on the other team, regardless, however it shapes up. Trey Mann is a guy that can absolutely do that for them. And then on top of that, you have, I don't think you're going to get a Miller or anything like that, but, can you get a Josh Okogie, right? Again, another defensive 2-way guard that can defend multiple positions. Josh Green, I would love, ideally, if we could work something out to get Josh Green, Miles Bridges, and Mark Williams, you solve all of your needs. That could literally be your starting 5. And you'd be very good at the game of basketball. Josh Green is basically, Max Christie 2.0, but is actually better at the little, the dirty work, right? He's better, dirty work guy, chasing down those loose balls and, hustle, watching Josh Green play, you're like, man, that guy's really good. I feel the same way about Max Christie. That's why I didn't want to trade Max Christie. I think Max Christie has better star potential, right? He's better self-creating and stuff. So there's definitely things that Max Christie's better at than Josh Green. But given that you have Luka and LeBron and everything else, you just need kind of those dirty work guys. You need those guys that can, chase down loose balls, be athletic, offensive rebound, do all the dirty work, right? And I look at Josh Green as a guy that can do that. 24 years old, again, so still young, right? Your starting 5 could be Luka Doncic, Josh Green, Miles Bridges, LeBron James, and Mark Williams, and you'd probably be one of the best teams of basketball, right? Because you'd have three guys that also are probably going to give a you know what. Why? Because they're on the Lakers and they're competing for championships rather than, Charlotte that's trying to bottom out every year, right? Great example was PJ Washington, right? PJ Washington was just like another guy on Charlotte, right? Everyone was like, oh, okay, cool. They got PJ Washington. Like, that's great, right? Like, give them a guy that can help score the basketball, right? And then he went to Dallas and he was literally their defensive anchor, a guy that was able to defend essentially 1 through 5 for them, was their best defensive player, great swing man, rebounding, doing everything. And even last year was like a 15-8 guy for them, right? Like, the guy became like a completely different player on a team like Dallas. Why? Because Dallas gave a you know what. They were trying to win basketball games, right? So it was like, hey, we need you to defend now. We need you to rebound. We need you to do stuff. Do you want to win or not? We need you to contribute to winning. And they made the NBA Finals, right? And he was a big reason to that, right? So I look at Charlotte and these teams because people go, oh, well, how do we know Miles Bridges will play defense, all these guys? Because again, it's very different when the expectations are different, right? People worry about Mark Williams. And I talked about this when the Mark Williams trade was going on, right? People were like, yeah, but Mark Williams isn't a great defender. He's not regularly, but it's there. You've seen him do it. We watched him do it. It's kind of hard to be a defensive anchor and a defensive monster possession after possession when you're down 25 every night and you're trying to tank for a number 1 draft pick, right? It's kind of hard to be like, okay, well, I'm going to overexert myself on the defensive side of things on a nightly basis. No, you're like, hey, like we're supposed to be losing anyway. So, let them score and I'll just go drop 20, right? Like I'll score so my numbers will look good and then they can score too. So their numbers look good. And it's a win-win for everybody. Expectations are very different when you go to a team like the Lakers and it's like, hey, need you to defend, need you to actually contribute to winning games. We're trying to win championships here. Do you want to, if you want to stay in Charlotte and do that, that's fine, right? But if you want to come here and try to win, like, let's go. And, you saw a guy like PJ Washington do it to Dallas and was like, let's go. And was great. So I trust that if the Lakers can get some of those guys, that again, the mindset changes. Everything shifts. Right? And I think Charlotte, again, they have 3, 4, 5 guys that just make so much sense for the Lakers to just bring in and be those perimeter guys and let them, hey, keep LaMelo, keep, Brandon Miller, keep all your guys, keep the guys that you're building the franchise around. We want the other guys. We want a Miles Bridges. You're still willing to trade Mark Williams. So, looking at a Mark Williams, Josh Green, right? You're probably drafting a guy that's going to play his position and you still have Trey Mann. Or, hey, if you want to keep Josh Green, we'll take Trey Mann. Right? At some point, you're not going to be able to play all these guys anyway. So you might as well get some stuff. Maybe you can work it out. Maybe you can work something out to where it's like, hey, we'll get you a Rui Hachimura and, a Gabe Vincent for a defensive guard. And then obviously you're going to have to give up picks and all that stuff, right? And, maybe here's Dalton Connect because you want Dalton Connect. If you told me Lakers gave up a first, Dalton Connect, and like 3 pick swaps, right, for Mark Williams, Miles Bridges, and, a Josh Green, I would be stoked, like genuinely, right? Obviously salary fill or whatever, so Rui Hachimura and all that stuff, but like just like the quality, like the assets that the Lakers have, right? Say, Dalton Connect, who they really want Dalton Connect, that first round pick. So they basically essentially get 2 firsts, right? And then 3 pick swaps. So it's basically 3 pick swaps. Like, that's great. Because again, Mark Williams is probably a first, 2 first type guy because of his age. And then Miles Bridges would probably yield a first, if not multiple firsts. Talk about, again, a sizable, like OG went for like 4, right? Like, Miles Bridges is probably going for 2 or 3. So you get him and then, go get Josh Green or a Trey Mann. Boom. Now we're in business. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle. How do you feel? Either way, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos.
Lakers, Warriors, or Pacers? Miles Turner's free agency landing spots revealed. The Indiana Pacers advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals after defeating the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games and will take on either the New York Knicks or the Boston Celtics. However, they have a busy offseason ahead of them. They own their own first-round pick, and starting center Myles Turner will be an unrestricted free agent. Turner has long been linked to the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Golden State Warriors have a very clear need in the front court. On League Insider recently revealed where Turner is leaning with his decision. Turner averaged 15.6 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks this season. He shot a solid 48.1% from the floor and 39.6% from deep, serving as one of the best floor spacers in the league. While the Lakers and Warriors can offer bigger markets and superstars for him to play next to, Turner has only ever played for the Pacers. On top of that, Indiana did not get eliminated in the earlier rounds like the Lakers and Warriors did, making his choice easy. The rising expectation, league sources say, is that Turner will be extending his stay in the Hoosier State. NBA insider Jake Fisher wrote, Indiana can offer just as much money, if not more, than LA or Golden State, and allow him to be the third best player on the team, barring a breakout from Benedict Mathurin or Andrew Nesmith, which would be welcome. Indiana seems ready to march to their first finals appearance since 2000 this season and will be able to run things back next year with a similar roster. With the Cavs reeling from an early elimination and the Boston Celtics dealing with injuries and difficult financials, the usually weak Eastern Conference will be the Pacers for the taking next season, provided they retain Turner. And you, fan, what do you think about Kevin Durant's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.